Howdy everyone, welcome back to the Aether Hub. I'm Carolyn Page here bringing you the lore of Magic the Gathering, the greatest game ever made. The topic today will be a guild leader featured in the new card for Guilds of Ravnica. Not only are they the leader, but also the founder or founders, depending on how you look at her. Or them? Before we hop into today's video, let me thank the channel's latest supporters on Patreon. You and the Vorthos army are the reason why the Aether Hub is the greatest Vorthos channel here on YouTube. This includes our latest supporters. Thank you all so much. In this video, let's talk about the parent or founder of the Selesnyan Conclave. As a bonus, they also sort of act as the current guild leader of the Selesnyans. Sort of. We'll get into more of that later. This is the story of Trostani Discordant. First, let's take a look at their new card, coming in Guilds of Ravnica. It's out now, I've played against it. I've not had the pleasure to play with it, but it's kind of sweet. Trostani Discordant is a 1/4 legendary dryad for 3 generic and Selesnyan colors, no doubt. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. When this enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, each player gains control of all other creatures they own. Could be nice against the commander, the little girl commander, who can steal all your stuff that was released in Commander 18. Okay, so it's a bit of a weird card here. Obviously great in any deck looking to go wide. Not to mention it comes into play with 2 2/2s with lifelink, effectively. It's a big board. Its stats are in itself in the body are lackluster, but at least its butt is big enough to dodge a lot of removal common in limited. Its last ability is what's weird. Does this work on things exiled by opponent's enchantments, or is it like mind control effects? Someone help me out here. But honestly, this is probably a pretty low impact ability as you'll be running lots of tokens most likely. But at least this keeps your Trostani safe from thieves, maybe? Either way, it seems solid in a token deck and is a great bomb in limited. Now, let's dive into this strange guild leader's lore. As I said at the beginning of the video, Trostani is both the current guild leader and the sort of parent of the Selesnyan Conclave. Trostani themselves is not a singular being, but a fusion of 3 individual dryads that once served under the true founder of the guild, a powerful being known as Selesnya. So, how can Trostani be the guild leader if I just said the guild was founded by Selesnya? Let me explain. Let's go back to the very beginning. That was time travel flashback noise. Like Trostani, Selesnya was not a singular being, but rather a collective of dryads that had fused into one elemental being bonded to the world tree in Vitu-Ghazi, granting them clarity in a city overrun with unnatural things, connecting them to the naturalistic essence of Ravnica itself. As bark fused and a foundation rooted, this being took the name Selesnya and signed the Selesnyan Conclave into the original Guild Pact. Selesnya themselves would grow into and become the World Tree, which is the center of Selesnyan culture. Yet, big trouble came for the Conclave and their leader on the anniversary of the original Guild Pact signing, when the Dimir Perun Sazdek, fun to say, fun to battle, looked to enact long-seated plans to rule over Ravnica. His allies attacked the World Tree and almost succeeded in killing Selesnya outright. Luckily, the soul of the guild's founder survived, but retreated deep into the roots and was not heard from for some time. This is where we see Trostani come into play. In a bid to reach out to Selesnya for guidance and preservation during the days of a less magical guild pact, 3 dryads went into a deep trance to commune with the parent. These 3 dryads had their own names and personalities, which reflected different aspects and traits idolized by Selesnya for their guild. Oba was the wild child of the trio, uncompromised, truly an original, governed more by knee-jerk emotional response than anything else. This was life. Sim, the oldest of the 3, commanding true power all those in the guild respected. Though strong, she would always find a way to balance her duties to her guild and to Ravnica as a whole, never using more power than was needed. This was harmony. And finally, Ses, the prim and proper of the sisters. She would be like the most political, ordered in speech and behavior. This was order. The three made up a living embodiment of the Selesnyan conclave. While reaching out to Mot Selesnya in their deep trance, their bodies were fused to an oak tree, anchoring them to the essence of the world tree. When Mot Selesnya finally reached out to them, the sisters were fused in mind as well, becoming the singular being known as Trostani. They went forward as guild leader and representative of the Selesnyans, ultimately relaying the orders of Mot Selesnya, whose voice could be heard by no other. That's a personal nightmare of mine, having things grow on you like plants growing from and into your skin. It's just a little side note, but I'm going to pass on the whole dryad thing. This is where we see Trostani today, leading the guild as the voice of Mot Selesnya. As her card from the Return to Ravnica block reflects, she's a signature card for that guild. Still, this system is not flawless. As Trostani speaks to the World Tree, the message can sometimes go unheard or misunderstood, or someone could be speaking in place of Mot Selesnya, and no one would be the wiser. An exploitation others have used to their advantage before. Namely, the current Dimir leader, Lavaz, who shapeshifted into a Selesnyan honor guard to help manipulate the guild into war with the Rakdos. A trick he succeeded in. Trostani heard from Mot Selesnya about the transgressions against her guild, and the banners of war were drawn. Giant elementals gathered in the streets, and things would have been much more ugly if the Izzet didn't reveal the maze. With control over Ravnica up for grabs in the maze, Trostani sent her guild's champion, an elf named Imara. Though Imara was friends with Jace Beleren, the Mind Mage who would walk away as the Living Guild pact, that power was kept from the Selesnyans. Now Trostani and the Selesnyans open their borders and gates to those curious about the natural world where it's hard to find on Ravnica. There's very few parks, I would imagine. I haven't been there myself, but from what I read. The Selesnyans serve as a museum to the long-forgotten and rare sight of leaves and grass on the city plain. They act as emissaries of nature, sharing its splendor with all those who seek it. But still, hatred, tension is boiling. Espionage and intrigue are on the rise as something begins to come to the surface. The Selesnyan conclave had been infiltrated once before, and Trostani will not allow it to happen again. And with that, we come back to their new card, Trostani Discordant. Discordant means to disagree or to be out of sync or harmony. Perhaps Trostani bucks against the words of Mot Selesnya, for better or worse, or perhaps she disagrees with her more open-minded champion, Imara. The two have butt heads in the past. Or perhaps there's someone, maybe a powerful, planeswalking elder dragon, who could be infiltrating again. I don't know. Who knows? Either way, the guilds in Ravnica, it looks like Trostani will be changing the game for the Selesnyan conclave. That's going to do it for this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our study on the Selesnyan founder and leader, Trostani. That's so sweet. I could see this as a commander. It's cool. You know, it's not too expensive for commander. Anyways, it's pretty sweet. I don't usually play a token decks myself, but might have to build one around this. As always, I just want to end this video again thanking our supporters in the Vorthos Army on Patreon. A huge thank you goes out to some of our newest members, Chad Bain, Seth Cannon, and William Van Huss. Thank you all so much for your support. Chad, Seth, William, Chad, Seth, William, Chad, Seth, William, woo! Remember, you too can get all the exclusive benefits of the Vorthos Army by checking the link to our Patreon and joining today! Again, that link is in the description below. Also, give us a like, give us a share, reach out on Twitter, reach out on Instagram, check us out on iTunes, hook us up on Reddit. That goes a long way for us, that Reddit love. We all love it, scrolling through cat videos, magic videos. It's all there. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Carolyn Page for the Aether Hub. We'll see you next time. Happy planeswalking.